education, national security, and economy is undeniably one of, if not the most important factor for a country to be successful. GLR, Global Livability Rankings, have suggested that these are three decisive factors for the rankings of a country. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now proudly introduce you to Robert Menzies. Sir Robert Menzies was a former Prime Minister of Australia. He holds the record of the longest time in office as a Prime Minister in Australia. He had accomplished significant amount of enforcements and applications to help the growth of Australia in all sorts of ways. Robert Menzies' legacy includes, but not limited to, making Australia achieve top 10 in trading nations, free milk to school children, tax deduction introduced to school fees and allied expenditure, established Commonwealth scholarship and the introduction of Commonwealth scholarship for secondary schools as means of introducing state aids to all schools. Robert Menzies had created opportunities for thousands and thousands of people. The Menzies government extended federal involvement in higher education and introduced the Commonwealth Scholarship Scheme in 1951 to cover fees and pay a generous mean-tested allowance for promising students from lower socio-economic group. Robert Menzies Act is a way to give opportunities to poor and low socio-economic group, as the cycle of poorer and poorer generation will have a higher chance of stopping and eventually return to a normal life. Not only in education did he achieve such an accomplishment, in economy he also made a huge impact. In contrast to Labour's socialist purpose, Menzies employed classical liberal economics during his second term in office, emphasizing private enterprise and self-sufficiency. As a result, the Menzies government's economic policy focused on tax incentive to release production capacity, expanding export markets, research, and carrying out public work to provide power, water, and communication. As he improves both on the living standards of citizens and development of country, his action had proved him a successful Prime Minister. The taste of successfulness had greatly influenced the citizens, as they voted for Robert Menzies for his second term in office. In his second term, he starts to put his main focus on the Cold War and national security, as communism was a threat. So he introduced legislation in 1950 to ban the Communist Party, hoping that the Senate would agree to the legislation. But the Senate rejected it and gave him a trigger for a double dissolution election, but Labour let the bill pass. Later in 1951, Menzies decided to hold a referendum on the question of changing the constitution to permit the parliament to make law in respect of communists and communism, when he said this was necessary for the security of Commonwealth. If passed, this would have given the government a power to introduce a bill that proposing to ban the Communist Party. Eventually, the Menzies Party still won the election with 64 out of 121 seats. In conclusion, Robert Menzies is a successful leader and Prime Minister of the country. His actions that helped Australia improve in all sorts of ways. As the longest-serving Prime Minister of Australia, he was arguably the best Prime Minister of Australia. Thank you.